Yeah.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Celtic Unrestricted View podcast. My name is Ryan Clifford. Well, it's a very, very positive podcast this week once again. Good victory, 2-1 away to Hearts. And joining me this week is Barry. Barry's following for his first podcast, and JP. Barry, I'll go with yourself, mate. As I say, it's very, very good victory. There's a lot of talk beforehand. Obviously, with Celtic won, it's kind of hinging on the title race and blah, 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 the usual media stuff. And I think overall, mate, I think it's a very, very good step in direction where we want to go.
Oh, definitely. And thanks for having us on tonight, Barry. It was an important victory. I thought first half we were really dominant. And I really thought some of the football we played was, very entertaining. I watched it with my boys and it was just fun. Some of the attacking play, some of the skills, some of the movement. It was just, a great game to watch. Obviously, a couple of really good goals as well. And in the second half, I just felt Hearts, I need to give them a wee bit of credit because they made it a bit of a dogfight. They came out and they made it scrappy and they were more competitive and got in their faces a bit, and obviously they managed to claw their way back into the game. But a really, really important victory because obviously we're building up to this big game next week. It's absolutely vital that the points, the gap remains the way it is, or less hopefully, and then we can beat them next week. But a good performance. I thought Celtic did show a different side to them in the last 15 minutes. Very resilient, bodies on the line. I thought Carter Vickers was exceptional. So all in all, happy and a good performance, as I said.
I think JP, basically what Barry says there, mate, I think it echoes everything. I think the fans will kind of probably say as well that obviously I would say we'll get into obviously during the podcast, but I would say the last 15-20 minutes was better game management from us. I think Ange's learned for his mistakes. I made subs at the wrong time and he only made one sub. It was Jota, and I think it was the right decision because the game at 2-0 should have been won, but you've still got the quality to come on with a bad and stuff. But I think overall, JP, I'm with Barry. I think it's no relief, it's happiness because we did play the first half, some of the football again was really, really interesting and interesting to watch because you're kind of expecting it now. Like the old Celtic under Rodgers, I would say, you've expected to just blow teams out of water, and you're kind of expecting that in the first half now because it's giving you no leeway in the second half, but the way Ange's trying to play, I think you're going to be having to use the subs because it seems to be he's gone for it in the first half to try and get maybe a goal or two up, and then the second half go through the motions, see the game out and try and get an extra goal. So I think that was maybe Ange's ball last night. I would say that was Ange's ball because it was frantic for the start. Even the Hearts, the first 5 minutes were in our faces, and then I would say until maybe the 60th minute, it was just total bombardment.
Yeah, it was, Ryan. First of all, good evening. Welcome on, Barry. It was overall, I just thought Celtic were super last night in terms of the way we played, the way we set up. To go to Tynecastle, any other normal game, is always going to be a tough game regardless of what opposition you are. So to have it our own way for quite a long period last night, I was quite surprised, to be honest. But in terms of looking back at it, because I've watched it over again, you can understand why we had it all our own way because of the way we played, the way we set up. I think having Hatate, Beaton and O'Reilly in a triangle together, I think it worked really, really well. Really positive for us last night. I think the energy the three of them gave us, especially in the first half, was unbelievable. Beaton did a lot of the dogged side of the job. He put his body in a lot of angles and a lot of people's faces, and the other two just looked like total ballers. They're really good on the ball. And Hatate's goal is just unbelievable. The strike, the power he generates for 33 yards out, mate, is just unbelievable. And obviously, Big Papa Dom Hands he's nowhere near that. You know what I mean? He's no chance. People are still ranting and raving about him being one of the best goalkeepers in the league, but he was nowhere near that last night. I thought Giakoumakis was a massive positive for his last night as well. He drew a lot of fouls, which got us up the park when we needed the pressure taken off us a wee bit. But second half, Hearts, they came back into the game because we allowed them to come back into the game. And I think it was down to a wee bit of tiredness with guys like Hatate and O'Reilly that allowed them to get more on the ball, because they brought an extra man on in the midfield. They made a change and they went to 5 across the middle. So what happened was they brought Baningime on, anchored for them, then allowed Devlin and Haring more opportunity to roam. And it allowed them to get more of a foothold in the game and more on the ball. I thought that Hatate and O'Reilly, you can see they're going to take a bit of time to get used to Ange's ball, to get used to the, it's tempo for 90 minutes and not just 45 or 60. So I think their conditioning obviously is going to need worked on a wee bit. But you can tell they're top players. I mean, especially Hatate. His touch is unbelievable. He's 1 or 2 passes ahead of everybody else in the pitch. When he receives the ball, he knows exactly what he's doing with the ball. And it looked like the same with O'Reilly. I thought Ange made one error last night, and that was playing James Forrest in front of Abada. I thought by playing Forrest, he took that right-sided momentum out of the team. Abada's goal return's been unbelievable, and he's been doing well. So I thought that sort of the momentum was slightly shifted last night by bringing in a guy that's possibly not 100% fit either. Jota was unbelievable. He's just scary. You can actually see when he gets the ball, the opposition start backing up. Nobody wants to go near him. Nobody wants to go to him. They're actually scared to go near him. I mean, that boy, is it Michael Smith? He was tangled up. He was tangled up like spaghetti last night, and no wonder he was wanting off. I don't think he was injured. I think he just wanted off and maybe needed a phone call or a cuddle for his mammy, because Jota had been absolute toast. So, as I say, everything's positive for us just now, and it continued with momentum on that. We need to stay in their coattails, and as Barry says, it's building up to next Wednesday, and obviously Saturday we've got Dundee United at Celtic Park. You're looking for another dominant and good victory there, and then we move on to next Wednesday to hopefully close the gap again.
Aye, mate. I think obviously the first that I'll touch on, obviously, you mentioned, I've seen a few things on social media there about James Forrest. We've been banging, well, me personally, I've been saying it for weeks, really since the start of the season, and I think people are, whether they're listening to this podcast, I don't know, but it's been a few rumours about in the last few days and the last few games, and even after the days, yesterday's win, that Forrest is maybe, he's no suited to Angie's style. He's slowing down either through injuries or whatever else. But I said at the start of the season, for the first few league games, he's not getting by a man anymore as the way he used to be. He's not as explosive. He's trying to cut in. He's taking too many touches. He's wanting to shoot. A few times last night, he could have passed to Giakoumakis, he could have passed to Jota, and he's wanting to shoot. But that's just the way Forrest has always been. But I just personally, but I don't know what you think, Barry. But I've been saying for weeks on here that I think Forrest, either maybe as he plays as a 10, but I think he's got to adapt his position now to get the best out of him, because I think the James Forrest, the flying winger, is not a flying winger anymore. Just he's getting older, his body's maybe not as fluent as it was through injuries, but I think I'm agreeing with JP, Barry. For me, Abada, I know he's a bit raw, but on his stats and his goal return and the way he's been playing, I know managers can drop him, but for me as a fan, him and Juranovic have got a decent understanding at the moment. They're doing well. I would probably say the only negative would be, but I think it's the way Ange wants to play. He wants to play Abada as far up as he can. But for me, that's leaving Juranovic with 2 men all the time. And I'm noticing it at home games now. Maybe if you played a Barcelona in Europe for a few years, whatever, I know that's too far-fetched, but if you played a better team, they might punish you. But I think in Scotland you might be all right. But I think in Europe you might need to look at that. But I think as it stands now, I think that's your. I think for me, I know Ralph's has done well, but I think Janovic for me is quality. I think he's a right back at the moment. I think it's his jersey to lose now. But on James Forrest, Barry, I don't know what you think of him playing every week, but for me, I think he will be in and out. I don't think he's going to be a mainstay. Still a valuable player, but I don't think he's a mainstay anymore, in my opinion.
No, I agree with you. He's a valuable player, definitely. And I think if it was a straight pick between Forrest and Abada, I reckon Ange would go with Abada. We've got that game last night, Dundee United, then Rangers to come next week. There's lots of minutes to be played, and I think he probably went with Forrest last night with other games in mind as well. But I think you picked up on a really good point there. There was one occasion I remember Forrest had a chance to pass it, and it might actually have been to Giakoumakis, and he tried to shoot. And I think that's probably where Abada gets the nod ahead of Forrest, and now it was just that end product. You've got a wee bit more trust in Abada when he gets into those positions that, you know, he'll likely score or he'll make the tail pass. So I think Forrest, over the coming weeks, he's going to have to provide that. He's going to have a final product. He's going to have a say in games, I think, in order for him to really be vowing to have that spot up on the right. But do you know something? Reflecting back on that game this morning when I was thinking about it, there was 8 players started that match that were Postecoglou signings. 8. I mean, that's a massive turnaround. If you think about recruitment and how difficult it is to even add 2 or 3 players to your first team, let alone bringing in, that was 8 last night that started that game. So I'm impressed by that. And those 8 players are performing, and he's no shy to sign a player and back them straight away. You know, they've done it with Matt O'Reilly. I thought that really good game. I think he's got plenty about him, and obviously an assist for the goal as well. So I'm just really upbeat about the options we've got as well. Think about James Forrest might not be a first team player, but he's going to definitely make a contribution. Then that shows there's strength there, and obviously we've got a lot of players missing now, but with a full selection of players available to us, a really healthy squad.
Oh, big time. I'm agreeing with you, Barry. I think we were obviously talking the start of the season. He signed, I think it was 12 players. I think, and it's between 16 and 18 players. For when have you ever seen, Barry, a manager or a team at this kind of high level? I know teams down south make all sorts of changes every window, but to make so many changes and get them gelling and get them playing and get the message across within 6 months and get them basically challenging again within 6 months. People were against Celtic. That's been done for years now, and us fans were thinking, what is going to happen here? But we've got Ange in the recruitment, Barry. Even if you don't win the league this year, if you do, I'm still very confident, right? If you win, especially if you win next week, I'm very confident, right? I think we've got the players to do it. We've got the style of play now to win the league, because I think we're better than Rangers as it stands. I know I've seen the previous podcast, I know they're ahead, but I think we're playing the better football. It's just silly wee things, decisions, and obviously injuries that's kind of stopped us. I think if we obviously United and Rangers, if you win the A2 games, it's putting a big statement down. But I think on the recruitment, Barry, when have you ever seen at this level been able to do what's happened? For me, it's not a miracle, but it's fucking incredible.
Aye, astonishing. I mean, we can draw a comparison to our rivals, because it took Gerrard best part of 3 years to put a team on the park. And I don't know exactly the number on this, but somebody told me it was over 30 players in that time that he recruited.
For him when I got a game of 5 with you, mate.
You'd get a new team, Jamie.
Whenever hard.
Well, I think he has to take so much credit. This is a guy who we only naturally can compare him to Eddie Howe, who was somebody that Celtic really wanted. And this guy would be making a short trip down the road to come and take the team. Here's a guy who's came to the other side of the world, who was a relative unknown, and he took on that on. He lost his director of football in a short period of time, and adversity after adversity after adversity, the injuries, etc. And look at where we're at. There's a marker there. We've already got a trophy. We're in touching distance with Rangers. And as I said, I watched that game last night with my boys, and I was proud to watch that team because not only did we get there, as I said, we fought for it, but it was very entertaining. I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. No, mate, I've enjoyed most of this season, JP, as Barry says there. I think everything Barry says obviously about the recruitment, I think you spoke with it, is spot on, because most of the signings last night, as Barry says, I actually didn't even realise how many there was actually playing. They've all showed up. There's no been guys, apart from Jackie Marcus, who've been injured, but I feel Jackie Marcus has played. He showed quality in glimpses, and I think last night, we'll talk about Manu. I'm a big fan of the guy. I know people may be saying you're judging too quick, but I've seen him, the game against Ferencváros, the last 20 minutes, his game management, like we've said before, not really since they barely had a bit of it, but Hesselink was the main focal point, how the ball and line play up. I've said it in the last podcast, Jackie Marcus is a big lumpy guy, man. He's strong. He's got a wee bit of pace about him. He's no slow. And I think going forward, between him, Maeda and Kyogo, obviously, yeah, he's in the pecking order, he might be going, we don't know, but you've got three quality forwards that's going to lead the line for you.
Absolutely, mate. Just on Giakoumakis, I mean, you can just, you seen how strong he was last night. He threw Halkett and John Souttar about like an empty tracksuit, man. Just the two of them, just like that. Like, they were having to foul him because he was getting the better of him. He was pulling the ball down with his chest, he was controlling it with his feet, he was holding it off, he was holding him off and looking for the run from midfield. And I thought he was a man that he set the tone last night. If you watch the game back, see when he started to dig, he started getting in about people, then started Jota chasing people, and then started Greg Taylor wanting to throttle people. It was a domino effect for the team. Everybody started getting in about it, and it was like, wow, where's this Celtic team been? Like, we're used to getting bullied, and they showed a physical side to their game. I mean, he brought McCarthy on, and right away, man, he smashed Halliday like he was just a wee boy. He just went right through him. And you're like, wow, that was like watching a train running through a BMX. But just unbelievable. Just like, it just shows you one or two things. I remember a game, I think it was the first 2 minutes, an old derby. It was the old Rangers, and they won that new tribute act there now, right enough. At Barry Robson, where he hits big Colin Daly.
Aye.
I just set the tone for the rest of the game. And that's what happens. Sometimes that happens in games. And last night, for me, Giakoumakis done that. He done it early doors with Halkett leered him for the back, and straight after that, he rolled big Halkett and he sort of threw him to the deck. After that, I thought, right, here, hold on a now. And then they had to swap, because Halkett was like, he's too strong for me. So big Souttar's like, right, I'll try and take him on. And he was the same, man. He was singing off him like the big. Remember the big rugby player, John Alomu?
Mm-hmm.
Big Giakoumakis puts me in mind of. His shoulders are like that. He's massive. And he's just he's a big, strong boy. But again, when somebody like that in your team, I played in teams where it happens. It gives the rest of the team a bit of impetus to go, right, hold on a minute, let's get right in about this mob. And as I say, so again, it was just it's just positive and brilliant to watch, as Barry says, and it's really, really exciting because you know you can't wait to the next Celtic game.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember a Celtic team exciting players in it. You look forward, apart from maybe Tommy Burns' era. I can't remember a Celtic team that you just cannot wait for the next game to come now. Whether it be 2 or 3 days away, 2 or 3 days seems like a fortnight.
Mm-hmm.
You're waiting on it. and it just that to me it's magic, you know, to watch it and to watch what he's brought. With the camera, as Barry says, Ange coming from the other side of the world so quickly in the time that he's been here. He's gelled that team together through the help of Callum McGregor, and to watch them all now, they just look like brothers. They all look like a family now on the pitch. They all look as if they're all. I mean, Rio Hatate last night, he's running about trying to high five Hearts players and everything, just talking to them, and it just what an energy. Kyogo's exact same. Just a brilliant energy about him, and to have that, as I say, it's only going to bode well for the coming future, mate. And I can see that team being really successful in many different ways, like domestically and Europe, especially the way we're playing football. Because most teams, like I don't want to write off Bodo Glimt, but most teams, like if we were to play like Sparta Prague now, or Rugby team that was in the other group, I like the two teams. I wouldn't even have any second thoughts about it. We would. Teams like that aren't going to turn us here as easy now. No chance.
It's like, see if you played, I think Barry will probably agree with JP and me here. See if you played Midtjylland now, you beat them 6-7, not probably air two legs. Yep. Even then at the start of the season, we should have still won, and that was us with a depleted team. But obviously Barry and Jackie Marketer, I don't know what your thoughts are on the big man, but when he signed, and obviously I knew a tiny bit about him through Dutch football, but when you look at his play last year and some of the value we've got him for, I was like, why we getting him for that cheap? And he found out the team got relegated and whatever else. But some of the players in that league have went for 15, 20, 25 million, and you're getting the top goals for 2.75 million. That's what I say JP as well. It doesn't matter. Obviously, it matters if he works out, but value-wise, the amount of value we've got out of 5 or 6 players in this team is phenomenal.
Sorry, just before you come in, Barry, Daniel Malin, who went to Dortmund, scored 10 goals less than him, and he went to Dortmund for 65 million.
There you go.
No, listen, guys, I'm impressed with him. I think he's a proper centre forward. He's a guy who wants to put his back into players. He wants to hold the ball up. He wants to bring his teammates in. And he knows where the goal is. You know, the goals he has scored, he's took them well. Last night was an example of that. I mean, I saw an easy finish, and he made it look easy. You know, and I think it's the manager has spoke so many times about recruitment, and he spoke about character, and he spoke about culture and environment, and it just builds confidence in you that this is a guy you can trust. This is somebody who, you know, the media were talking about this phone call he had with Matt O'Reilly, who was already keen on coming, but that kind of sealed it for him. You know, this guy, it's not just about can a player perform. He's looking at guys and saying, do they want to be here? Do they want to be part of a project? Are the guys who are going to be level-headed? Are the people who are going to work for me? And JP was talking about Jota there, and, you know, guys don't want to go and meet him. He's a hard worker as well, isn't he? I've seen him at one occasion last night. He put a side tackle on at left back. He's a flair player, but that's character for you. And I love JP's optimism, because the only recent time I can remember being this excited about the next game was probably Brendan Rodgers' first season. But see, this team, to me, this team's got a lot more room for growth than his teams had. I just feel this team and this squad, maybe this manager could go from strength to strength. Whereas I thought that Brendan Rodgers, his team sort of plateaued. There wasn't much more he could do with that team. I just don't get that impression with Ange Postecoglou. My only kind of negativity about last night was, and I don't know if you guys agree, I'm still not convinced with Starfelt. I'm just not convinced. I felt Carter Vickers last night, he headed every ball, he was blocking, he was in the right place. It's just, I get a bit anxious when Starfelt's 1-on-1. Don't know what you think?
I'm no one to be like, I'm like you. You try and not criticise your team when you win and you play well, but as I say, mate, you've got the balance in every way. Well, me personally, I think we're Celtic fans, but you've got to obviously look at every aspect. And I seen a few tweets on Twitter today. They were saying Saturday play Julian, get minutes into him, because some fans I've seen on Twitter, they want Julian in for the Rangers game. They're for a bit more physical experience in the game. But again, if you're winning games, I generally don't think JP he'll drop Starfelt because he signed him. I think he rates him. I don't think he'll drop him unless he does something ridiculous on Saturday against United. Me personally, if Julian's on the bench, Julian's fit. Would it be harsh to drop Starfelt? I think it would be harsh. I know we're jumping ahead to next week, sort of play Saturday, but if I had the choice, who would I rather play? For experience, I would go with Julian in the game. It's a massive game. Julian knows what's all about. Starfelt, doesn't he? But at the same time, Starfelt is an experienced player, international football. He's played at Celtic now for a while. He knows the club, he knows the fans. So I want to say I'm convinced fully myself, Barry. I can get the murmurs about him because it's justified some of the decisions he makes is a bit crazy, but then he does redeem himself. I think Vickers is a solid one, definitely. JP, I'm agreeing with Barry. I think Vickers is superb. He wins everything in the air. He's got pace. He tracks back. And last night it shows you again. You're playing maybe the third best team in Scotland, and he's just pushing boys at the way like he's just not there. I thought Starfelt should have done better for the first goal. Should have won the header. So I can agree with you there, Barry. So I'm glad I'm not making the choices because it's a hard one, because Starfelt, he has played well, but then the odd time he's made it, like he says, that, oh, Jesus. It reminds me a bit of Boyata. Boyata used to, I thought Boyata was brilliant, lads, but he had that
moment of madness.
No, just get it away. It was the same as Jeffrey Ambrose. Get it away. Just put it out the stone. Boyata, I had that at the start of his reign, but near the end, I was actually quite comfortable with Boyata. But no, Starfelt were the same. But don't you think, JP? But for me, I think for me, Julian and Vickers are the two we've got, two best. I'm a big fan of Julian. I think he's showed up the big games, like we've said in previous pods. He scored some vital goals. But can I see Starfelt getting dropped with Ange unless he does something ridiculous? Personally, I can't see it. But I do prefer Julian to him, but I don't think he'll drop him.
This is just me personally. I just can't understand the doing a guy takes with a lot of the sections of your fans. I just don't get it. He's certainly not the worst defender we've ever had. No. He's portrayed with certain sections in the media and certain sections of your support that he's absolutely dug meat. I've seen a post today, somebody calling him dug meat, and I thought that was extremely harsh.
You can't
call... Last night, I think the only negative for him, in my opinion, he needs to stop this shoving people in the back.
Aye.
He done it in the cup final, and it should have been a penalty to Big Nisbet. He blatantly just shoved the boy right in the back. And I thought, right, if we get VAR, that's going to become a problem. He's constantly, he done it a couple of times last night. He done it in the lead up to the goal. If you watch it, I think it was Big Haring that jumps with him, and he shoves him in the back. He needs to stop that because for me, he's better than that. I think he's an unbelievable tackler with a ball. He's timing in a like, see when he's behind somebody and he brings his leg round and knocks the ball away, he's superb at that. He's absolutely brilliant at that. I think it was last night, I know. I can't remember if it was Mackay Stephen or it was Barry Mackay, but do you remember the one he made a list clears it off the line?
Aye.
His timing's good that way. He's good at that. He's a better. Big Carter Vickers is solid in terms of he wins every header, more or less, when he goes for it. But I think, this is me personally, I think Starfelt's... See, I think that's what brings the two of them together, Brian. And I think that's why the two of them are now trying to...
One does one job better than another.
One's brilliant at head on the ball, the other one's brilliant at tackling. One's good at... Starfelt's good at nick the ball away, or getting his body in front of him, timing that sort of the pass into the striker's feet. Whereas Big Vickers will just... He's the one that will just attack everything that comes out of the box. And obviously Starfelt can header as well, but he's just not as dominant as Big Vickers. But I get what Barry's saying, because I've had a couple of moments myself, even a couple of the European games where he's tried to maybe pivot and you're like, you don't get a minute's peace at Europe, mate. Stop trying to take an extra touch when you don't need to. just release it. Or as you said, man, get it out. You, against top teams, Leverkusens and stuff like that, you try and take 1 or 2 extra touches that you don't need to, you're punished straight away. So, especially with the high presses teams play against you. So, boys like Frimpong and that shutting you down at speed. You don't get away with that then. But I certainly don't think he's he's one of the he's certainly not one of the worst I've seen. In terms of Julian, I miss big Julian as well. He gives you loads that the two of them don't give you. Because for me, the two of them don't score enough goals when it's a corner or another set piece up the park. Julian, you're guaranteed nearly double figures a season with big Julian. His sheer timing of the ball and see the delivery of that Matt O'Reilly last night.
Aye.
Big Julian would have been on the end. Big Julian would have been on the end about 4 or 5 of them, no problem. And you have said it, he's so physical, he just throws people out his road to get there. His goal against Lazio, the one Christie puts right in his button, that's unbelievable. And the timing that he pushes away for that big boy, runs in and he scores. His goal against them in the cup final, that was like a striker's goal. He just side fits it right into the bottom corner. Again, big Julian offers you goals. I think he scored a goal against Lille, didn't he, at Parkhead as well? Mm-hmm. One with Turnbull's in a corner. So again, he offers you something different, I think, for the other two. But I would agree with you, Ryan. I would like to see him playing Saturday. Let's see what sort of condition he's in. Because he's not played for, what is that now, about 19 months, 20 months. Easy. So let's see what kind of... I wouldn't be shouting for him to start the derby next week. I wouldn't be shouting like that because he's been out a long time and I think it would be unfair to the two boys to drop one of them and they've been playing all along and they've sort of helped to carry the can for this season. Well, don't forget, guys, as well, we've conceded the least goals.
Aye.
So for everybody saying that our defence is poor, we conceded the least goals and the one we conceded last night was offside. So... and probably you could be looking at another like Giakoumakis' goal being offside as well. There's a few shouts for that as well. So maybe it was evened up with the boys. But it was a sore one to take. And a good finish out enough for all places to put it. It's not often Joe Hart gets beat with pegged. So but no, I think Starfelt's certainly he's definitely not the worst I've seen. And I don't think he deserves a lot of the... My only criticism of him is he just shoves people in the back. And he needs to try and get that out of his game. If he can get that out of his game, then I think he'll do a lot better. And I also think there's meant to come for him as well. But we paid a big price for him. I think it was like $4.5 million we bought him for Ruben Kazan. So I do think Ange, same as I do with Greg Taylor, man, I do think Ange sort of favours them because he would see they're suited to the way he wants to play. I don't know.
No, I agree, mate, when it comes to Starfelt. I think he gets the start of the season, I did give him a bit of a hard time because he didn't look settled, he looked well off it. But after the game against Aberdeen, like we spoke about, most of the teams turned a corner. He's had the odd moment, but I don't think I personally I done one tweet about him, and that was the Aberdeen game in the first half. Like I says on Twitter, he got flung about an empty track because he was hopeless in the first half. But ever since that half, he's been brilliant. He's not really put a lot of miss. I think he gets a battering. There's always a player in a team that gets a battering. Even Rangers pull with it, Aberdeen pull with it. There's always one or two players that get a scapegoat. For me, it's Greg Taylor. I still don't rate him. He played all right last night. I still prefer Scales going forward, but defensively he done well last night. And I like the fact with Taylor, I'll give him his due, like we spoke with JP the other day. I think Barry, you did speak about it as well. It's the first I've seen him this season properly sticking the boot in and being a team. Normally in the past we've just been too nicey. Okay, referee, it's a free kick referee.
Oh, he was going to throttle that Devlin last night.
But last night, Barry, I thought Taylor, Jota, Giakoumakis, even Hatate, they were all on each other's, the referee's face and the Hearts players' faces, and you can see they're getting to grow now. And again, I think maybe they've been told to fucking, if it's McGregor or Ange or whoever, listen, you need to fucking toughen up. You might be good players and technical players, but against Hearts, Rangers, Aberdeen, you can't be nice and icy because they'll just fucking push off the park.
No, definitely. And just take a back to Starfelt for a minute there. I think the guy's got attributes. I think he's quick. You know, and JP highlighted probably his main strength. He is very good at getting in and just nicking the ball away from the forward. The only thing I would say to him is that, when we talk about a ball as a lost cause, I just think he's got a wee mistake in him with the lost causes. I think with Carter Vickers, it's a lost cause. He would be with Starfelt. I've just got that wee bit of anxiety that he might not deal with. But no, I think I'm the same as you, Ryan. I'm not a massive fan of Taylor, but I respect his work rate. I think he's a committed guy. I think he gives it everything. And I think Ange likes him because he carries out his instructions. And it was good to see that bit of dig in him last night. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the close-up of his face. If you got his teeth,
He was smiling at him, aye.
He was raging with the tackle. But what you're saying, Ryan, about the dig and the fight, overall, I think it's the unity. They seem to be together. And Taylor was keen to get out and back up. I'm not sure if it was Jota, I think it was. Aye. And Taylor was keen to get earlier and back up Jota, and then you see Giakoumakis was the same. And I like that. I know discipline's crucial in football, but I do like to see the rest of the team getting around them and protecting each other. I just think, again, it goes back to the type of players that Ange is bringing to the club. He's bringing guys here who they want to be part of something. They feel they are part of something. And they're together. They're united, You
can even see that as well when they're celebrating new JP as well. I know last year there was no fans, so when some of them scored goals, it was just a high five and whatever else. But when they're celebrating, everybody's celebrating. Even the backroom staff, the players, they all want to get involved. And obviously the goals last night, Hatate, you seen Jota was like that. Wow.
That was unbelievable.
He was like, wow. But the goal, like Ver says, the goal was phenomenal. I think it's basically a similar kind of an Nakamura against Rangers. That video on Twitter, it's brilliant. Hatate looks an absolute steal for what he was. O'Reilly, for me, we'll talk about O'Reilly. We've spoken about Hatate. O'Reilly, JP, I know he said after the game he couldn't believe the atmosphere, and I've let him all, man. That's at Tynecastle. Imagine next week you start at Derby, son. Then you'll know what Celtic is. And I think O'Reilly will play on Saturday because I think he needs minutes at this level. I think he admitted it himself. He was feeling it in his calf. So, but again, he's no scared to admit, I need to play more minutes. I need to get conditioned. So I think everybody's want to play for this team. They want to play for these fans, the manager. And I thought O'Reilly. You wouldn't think that guy played League One down south, JP, personally. I thought
definitely know, mate. I agree with you, mate. I thought that his touch is unbelievable. Did you see the one he was there at the touchline? I think it was there at Barangi and that were in the dugout. And I think it's Juranovic, gives him the ball, but there's like two of them on him. I think it's Haring and what's the other boy's name? It might have been a boy Devlin. Might have been there too. It closed him down. And he just rolled it for his left onto his right. Or he rolled it the other way, for his right onto his left. And just went right through the gap between the two of them. And you just know right away, you're like, oh, he's going to be really comfortable in tight areas. And his range of passing as well. There was a couple of ones he switched right out onto the wing to Jota. But there was one last night, I don't know if you remember it, guys. It's the one he pivots. He destroyed the boy Mackay. He just pivots away and he plays a reverse ball down the shoulder, a hell kick, and Juranovic is right onto it. I actually think Juranovic nearly scored. I think Gordon kind of.
No, I remember it.
He's gone one way and the ball went the other way. That is unbelievable. He's that type of player. He looks like the type of player that's just he's going to cut teams open. And he looks as if he's got that wee bit of niche and a wee bit of finesse in him. A wee bit quicker than Rogic last night as well. In terms of, at the beginning he was high pressing and stuff. I think down to his lack of Ange ball fitness. Let's just call it that, right? Because there's fitness and then there's handball fitness, and you need to be conditioned a certain way to play the way handball requires. Okay, so he's just no conditioned to play that sort of high tempo for a long period of time. And when he is, I mean, for me last night, he deserved his man of the match. I thought it was excellent. And if that's him getting man of the match in his debut, I can't wait to see him in 6 weeks' time when he is actually conditioned and he's been eating with the team and he's working hard and he's doing the weights and he's going to be absolutely frightening. Absolutely frightening.
I thought the three of them were brilliant together. Beaton, Hatate and O'Reilly.
And can I just say, I thought, like, as a Celtic staff, we've been in jail now because we've paid £1.5 million for O'Reilly. We paid £1.5 million for Hatate. We paid £2.5 million for Juranovic. I think we paid. I actually think the deal was over $1 million. Maeda.
Mm.
How's that allowed? Like, surely that is daylight robbery. Daylight robbery for what we've now purchased and what we're going to get. Totally scary. Like, in terms of when you look, Barry mentioned it earlier, the transfer market's so hard. He's Paul Daniels up. Like, just how did he? But how's that allowed? I mean, I've not seen recruitment like that for a long time, and I'm talking about teams all over Europe and teams up and down the country. I've not seen recruitment like that for a long time. To get what you've paid is, come on, it's I don't think it's ever been heard of up here.
Oh, it's crazy. I don't know what you think it, Barry, but I thought they three were brilliant last night in the midfield, and it just shows you're missing Turnbull, McGregor, Rogic. You wouldn't think that they three, I know Beaton's been a mainstay in the squad, but you wouldn't think that they three guys, one of the three guys that play every week.
No, and I mean, you think that was O'Reilly's debut, threw right into the deep end, And again, you look at the signing of O'Reilly. Before that, we were linked with the Australian boy, was it McCree?
Mm-hmm.
So again, I think I've got to go back to the manager and say, what a signing that was. The fact that the guy that cut, he didn't get it, but he moved on quickly, and he had somebody else in mind, and he's brought O'Reilly in. And I thought his set plays, particularly his corners last night, were on point. The midfield was brilliant. Obviously, Hatate's goal gets the headlines, but his overall play, and for his size and stature, he's solid. He more than held his own in some of his turns, and JP highlighted it there, the instant with O'Reilly, but him and Hatate had many occasions where they're on the ball, under pressure, in tight areas, and they managed to find a pass or managed to turn and get themselves away. I think O'Reilly looks like a player. I think there's an obvious comparison there with Rogic. I think the fact that he's a left footer and a similar height kind of move. Although I think JP's spot on, I think he's a bit quicker. But he can only go from strength to strength after that performance. It's an exciting one, especially the money we paid for him. He looks a real prospect.
I think as well, obviously, JP, they're going to talk about obviously the offside and maybe Beaton should have been sent off for a home ball. And me personally, I know people, I thought it was a soft penalty. I know it hurt O'Reilly and Beaton's horn, but I thought they get pushed in the back, a wee dodge in the back, and it's pretty momentum. And see when you're heading the ball, I know you don't go up, but you're heading the ball, your eyes are on the ball, your horn isn't. It's a penalty, right? But for me, it's soft. I'd be asking for myself, yes, but as a Celtic fan, I'm thinking it's soft. And I've seen, obviously, Robin Nielsen says he spoke to John Beaton at half time, and he says that might have gave us a penalty. So is he basically saying to Beaton and says, listen, you better give something because you've basically gave them an offside goal? Again, we don't know. To be fair, I thought Robin Nielsen was fair at the end of the game. he did say the referee basically gave it two goals that should have been offside. But then you look at Ange, and Ange's basically, look, mate, we won the game, shut up. And me personally, JP, when Ange calls you mate, I think that's a signal for shut up, you've not got a clue.
Aye, no, I agree with that, mate. I love it when he does that. And the media are just putting his hands into it. They just get told what to do, and that's it. And he'll not be told, like, he'll not be bullied off the media. He'll not be, nobody's mincing his words, or, you're not making stuff up about me, because I'll tell you it straight, and that's it. No, for day one, he's treated them with contempt, and that's what they deserve. Well, we've spoke about it before you've come on, Barry, as well. We've mentioned it several times, mate, regarding the media and how they never ever give Celtic enough credit for anything they do. So I think Ange is now picking up on this, and obviously he's not going to war, but he's more prepared for shooting down as soon as he gets an opportunity. Because I think we saw that we go way back again to the fan media and the first presser. The guy mentions about him working, trying to make a less insinuate he was working at a lesser level. And that's what Ange picked up on. He says, I don't know if you're trying to insinuate I've worked at a lesser level, but I've managed that World Cup. He said, so if that's, I've won titles elsewhere in different leagues, different to this league. And I've said it before, mate. I personally think the J League would the mastery teams in this league. And I'm including both sides of Glasgow here, because I think there's a lot of really technical teams there. The Scottish teams, a lot of Scottish teams aren't technical. I mean, the only technical thing about them is the technology they use before and after the games. That's about it. Teams like Livingston, and you're having a laugh, man. Total anti-football, if you want to call it that. But no, Ange is brilliant, mate. The offside goals, they're probably right. They probably are right. Even when I saw it in real time, I thought Giakoumakis was offside. I thought we got away with one. And then Boyce is definitely offside. But you're shouting about penalties, mate. That was a soft penalty, because if you look up the other end, the boy Kingsley does the exact same in Forest. He's trying to cross. Nothing good for that. We spoke about today. I've looked all our social media. Nothing's been mentioned about it. Beaton should have been sent off. This is what Ricky Foster's apparently said. Beaton should have been sent off. Beaton should have been sent off. Then there's other ones. Beaton should have been red carded. Aye. There was a game at Ibrox last night. The boy Lowry handballs it into McGregor's arms. There's nothing said about that on the media today. Nothing.
Of course,
everything's all about Celtic. Blah blah blah. And it's not a surprise now. Do you know what I mean? We're expecting it now. But Livingston, you thought about handballs. Livingston started a penalty last night. But again, that's who are we to say? Do you know what I mean?
and guess who the referee was, JP? Don Robertson. But again, Barry, I don't know what you think, obviously, big Ange, but I think as soon as he says mate, you're in for a bit of grilling, because I think the media are trying to take the piss at him. I think now they should understand that the guy is very intelligent. The guy's worked in football for a long time and knows how to work the media. He's no Neil Lennon when they'll get a headline off him. I don't think you'll get a headline off Ange, but you'll get a headline, but it'll be a positive headline that won't be Ange came out and says this or says this, because I don't think he'll ever come out and publicly destroy his players or destroy the fans. I don't think he'll come out and give them any juice to put in a paper. So for me, as soon as you mention mate, man, I think that's you on the plums.
Aye, it's something in football that I suppose isn't always recognised, how the manager deals with the media. But up here in Scotland, it's got extra significance. You have to be able to deal with the media. And Neil Lennon, you mentioned about, you always get the kind of impression when he was suppressing what he was really thinking, and he was having to work hard to bite his tongue. And I think Ange, he's got an aura about him. There's an assertiveness about him there that probably the media themselves, after they've asked a question or two, they get a sense, don't push that anymore. And I love that about him. He's quick to deflect. He done it last night, as you said, Ryan, with talking about the offside goals, and mate, why he's obsessed with decisions up here. He's wanting to talk about the football, and I like that. He's in control of the narrative. He's directing the questions where he wants to be going. It reminds me of Martin O'Neill a wee bit in that respect. Martin O'Neill was just, there was no nonsense, when he came to these interviews and pundits and whatnot. So I like that. I think it displays confidence, and people pick up on that. Not just the media, but anybody else watching that's involved in Scottish football. They're getting a taste of who this guy is. He's a no-nonsense. He does things his way. And as I said, I love that about him.
I think as well, like you mentioned there, Barry, for me anyway, I just think I just love a guy, mate. Everything about him, it's just, for me as well, it's the fact that he's came here, as JP says, a different country. Basically, if he first came in, it was, do you not understand this? Do you understand that? And he's like, mate, come on, get a grip of managing World Cups and whatever else. So, and even the other day in the press conference, he's like, mate, I played Hearts 4 times already this year. What are you talking about? I know who Hearts are, but to play and whatever else. So, I think eventually they'll catch on to it. They'll probably ask me a silly question about next week's game before it. They'll ask him something, do you know about these games or something? And I guarantee he'll come out with something brilliant. But obviously, again, last night, we mentioned at the start, game management, Barry, I thought, I know Sorrell's not really going to play much, but I thought him, McCarthy come on, and they were the sort of players I think needed for last night, because I thought Sorrell's energy the last 3 or 4 minutes was good for the team. He actually done all right, kept the ball in the corner, and McCarthy as well. It shows you that we've got players that can come on and see games out now. And maybe last year, if it was maybe 2-1 or 2 each, I think you might have lost a game because no made the right subs. And I think we've got the right manager now to make the right calls. I think he's learned from his lesson. But I think Sorrell and McCarthy done well last night when they came on.
Aye, no, I think that's a great point. Sorrell made a contribution. He was only in the back minutes, but they got to go over the line. And McCarthy, JP mentioned earlier, McCarthy got a few crunching tackles in. And it's one player, I think, up until now, I'm a bit surprised he's not more games. I'm not surprised he's not more an impact in the team, because he's a quality player. I mean, his only issue over recent seasons has been he's been a bit injury prone. There's no doubt his quality. Now, here's a question for you. If they're fully fit and everybody's available, there's only 3 midfield positions. Who's your midfield 3?
See, to be fair, right? See, maybe a few weeks
ago...
You
go first. Ryan, you go first.
For a few weeks ago, I think I could have gave you to the border. It would have been Rogic, Turnbull, McGregor. I think now David Turnbull's going to have a fight in his hands when he get back to the team. Because if O'Reilly's there, I think Hatati's going to play. I think he's signed him to play. Gucci might be I don't think Gucci's a starter yet. I'm obviously only seen half through him. I bet him, so half through him. I game him really. So I think Rogic for me has got to play. I think Rogic is Ange ball and a T. Rogic and McGregor's probably the two. I think McGregor's your mainstay. He's the captain. He's probably all around. He's the best player in Scotland probably. So you've maybe get 1 or 2 positions to fight for, because it all depends if he plays 3 midfield or he plays 2. So to be honest, mate, I'm glad I've not got a headache. But if you were to push me, I dare rate David Turnbull, but I think Hatati's these 2 games. See me, I can't decide honestly. Even
come on.
If I'm going to be, I would probably say Hatati, McGregor, and Rogic. I would say. But then you've got the JP, as Barry says, you've got the options now to change it, to go and either play a bit more defensively, Beaton in there or McCarthy. So I would go with McGregor, Rogic, and Hatati for me the new JP. I don't know, but you think, Barry?
Well, McGregor, Rogic, I'd have rated him. And I probably would go with Hatati. I mean, I do rate Turnbull. I think if he added a wee bit more goals to his game, I would have him in. But going on what I've seen just in 2 games with Tati, that'd be my 3. How are you, JP?
I'm going to go against the grain for you here.
Shocking.
No, I'll not be. It's no mega changes, but I think personally, and this is just my view and the way he wants to play handball, I can see him going with McGregor, Rogic and O'Reilly. And I think Rogic will go one side, Riley will go the other to give us a balance. With Abada and probably Jota. And I would say, but then again, I think, me personally, I'll give you the full team. In fact, I'll run through this very quickly. I think it'll be Hart, Juranovic, Carter Vickers, Julian or Starfield. And I think Greg Taylor's going to put Scales to that left back, left full back, left inverted, whatever you want to call it. I think his midfield will be McGregor, Rogic and O'Reilly. And but personally, I think he's going to fit Maeda and Kyogo in somewhere as well. So I think both of them, he might even go with a back 3 when they 2 are ready to play together. So he might even play 3 with 5 in the middle, the way he did up at Perth.
Mm-hmm.
But no Ange, I think it's going to be a rotational thing. I don't think you'll see a settled team every week. I think you'll see different horses for courses is probably a good saying. So I think you'll see changes being made depending on which ground and which game comes on the horizon. But overall, I think the majority of his midfield will relatively stay the same. And for me, I think overall, in the long term, is going to be, just now, I think it'll be Rogic, McGregor and O'Reilly.
I think as well, Barry, obviously, up front, as I say, you've got Maeda, Kyogo, Giakoumakis, Ayeti seems to be behind the picture. So you've got the option now to play, I would say, if 3 are fit, you've got to pick a 3, in my personal opinion, 3 quality strikers, because Giakoumakis can play up front himself now. You can see that. Kyogo can play himself because he links in with Jota in the midfield. Maeda's quick, he's a warrior, shuts down players. 3 are 3 different qualities. So for me, when it comes to up front, Barry, I've no qualms on who plays. Ayeti, I've got something about Ayeti that I think, if he won a games, I think he could show us. I think there's rumours about him going to Basel again. I think if he goes to Basel, he's comfortable there. He knows the club, he knows the fans. I think he'll score goals there. Maybe Basel, I don't think Basel was up to the level of Celtic, but well, I know if he goes, they sign somebody else or they promote a youth player. But I think if gone by the first 3 picks, I would say Giakoumakis, Maeda and Kyogo, Barry. I think with no qualms, me personally, who plays at any game, because I think you've got 3 different options, you've 3 different qualities of who you play.
No, I agree with you. We're looking at players where there's options, and that's a good thing. You know, I don't think we've had that in recent seasons. The ability to put different players on, as JP highlighted, depending on who we're playing. And I know he did change his system up in Perth, but I think he's pretty much settled on the 4-3-3. I think the players he's brought in and stuff would suggest he's probably going to stick to that. But it's exciting to have those options. I mean, if you look at the front 3, I mean, Jota, Kyogo, Maeda, and then you could play another front 3. You could go with Forrest, Abada, Giakoumakis, and you could do the same in midfield. The 3 of us had a lot. The midfield there, you know, we had options there too. So, I think it helps that he does keep the system the same, that players are able to come in and they know what's required. So if you change personnel, it doesn't have as much of an impact on the team because there's an expectation on them in their position.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's helpful to have that. Players probably feel comfortable with that. They're not coming in and asked to do things that are foreign to them. They're watching Ange's team, they're seeing the players that they're competing against, they're seeing what they've been asked to do, so they know what's expected of them.
I agree, mate. I think that's JP. I think that's something that Barry says is actually quite. It's actually really a good point that everybody's knows what they're doing. Every player, even the subs, they all know their jobs, they all know what they're doing. Last year we just looked lost, just looked like a pack of wolves chasing a ball in a field, basically. I think now everybody knows what they're doing, the instructions are following, the tactics and the principle of a team. I generally don't, even though we're saying there's certain players who make no rate or whatever rate, I think no matter what player plays, I think you can trust him to do a job, because if a manager, I'm no qualms about who plays, because under Ange, if he plays him, he trusts him, and I'm happy with that. As much as I don't maybe want Johnson to play week in, week out, or Taylor, or whoever, or Scott Bain, whoever. I think in general, JP, I think whoever he plays, you've got to trust him, because he's not really gave us anything not to trust him, like we've said before.
No, he's not, mate, and that's the thing as well. When we touched on his recruitment, nobody's put a fit rank. Nobody's come in and, like, maybe seasons going by, you've no signed a guy like Fed, or a guy like Bayo, or a guy like Kamala, or a guy. They've no signed anybody that's come in and fans are going, he's not good enough to play with us. Do you know what I mean? They've no signed anybody like that. They've signed guys who have all been ready-made, and they've all come straight into the team. Every one of them. They've all come in and done a job they knew. No coming in and, hi, how you doing, me man? And right, okay, we'll see you in 7 months' time when you might be ready for a game. You know what I mean? That's not happened. The only one you could probably say that's happened is your boy Johnny Kenny, that they've signed with Sligo Rovers, which is fair enough. But the ones that he's brought in, the majority have all, not the majority, every one of them apart from Kenny have all come into the team. They've all come in and played a part in the first team. We've been absolutely slaughtered this season with injuries as well. I think we've got to look at that as well, lads. The fact that, last night, I think I saw it today, you had Bain, Ralston, Julian, Welsh, Scales, Rogic, McGregor. Who's the other one? Mikey Johnson. And I think it was Maeda and Kyogo. That was a team. That's a team that never played last night.
Crazy.
That team would go and destroy St Johnstone. Like they would go and give him a game in that league. So definitely, I mean, like, it's phenomenal. We actually, looking back at the St Johnstone game, we thought we were decimated in my squad. We thought, oh, here we go, we're doing it with bare bones. And you look at that bench, it was all full of young boys, Joey Dawson, Ben Doak. By the way, that boy Doak was on the bench again last night for us. Only 16 years of age. So Ange must see something in that boy or not to be. That's a couple of benches the boys made. It's only a matter of time before that boy flung on as a sub. Because I've been watching the last few B team games. He's not been anywhere near their team. So he's went for the one under that to then training with the first team. That's a massive jump, and he must have natural ability to be even involved in a day-to-day session with the first team. That's a big plus as well, and a big positive and a big confidence booster for that young lad. So, as I say, just the whole squad in general, mate, regardless of who he plays, I would be confident they're going to come in and show what they're made of. Because, as we said, it's night and day for what it was last season. Team's so structured now. There's a tactic. They all know their roles. They know who they're playing against. They know everything. They know all the information that's been given to them is all bang on point. And apparently it's similar to Rodgers in terms of the information right down to a T. All the I's are dotted and there's full stops and everything. So they all know every detail that that's put to them, and they all know their roles, and they know what their roles are on the team. And know what I think's right. There's no noise coming from now. Nobody's unhappy that they're not maybe playing every week. Like, there's nothing like that. There's nobody wanting away. There's nobody shouting about, oh, I'm not getting a game, I'm away in a huff, I'm away, I'm not playing, I'm not training, I'm not getting in. Everybody's all working hard. They all know that, even the subs, mate, have all got a role to play, because Andy's told them, and he's obviously promised them, listen, we've got a lot of games, you'll get your time, you'll get game time. So just stay with it and keep training. And you heard that boy, Matt O'Reilly. I was told right for the half, make sure you're ready, son, to play, because you just don't know the minute you're going to be called upon to be there. I think that was important, mate, as well. That they all need to be switched on and ready to go.
Aye, mate, I think that seems to be the way that he's wanting to play. I think even the guys who are not on the squad or not even in the stands, I think you need to be fully fit because anything can happen. Obviously, we've seen injuries this year, international breaks and qualifiers. So I think guys, like Barkas, again, was no playing, and against St Johnstone, done well. He's no playing again. So it just shows you that you need to be fit to play in his teams. You need to be on the ball, and I think every player is on the ball. It's just where I know they take their chance when they play. But obviously, Barry, what was your kind of overriding thoughts of the game and obviously moving forward?
Well, satisfied with winning. I think that's the key thing now leading up to this derby next week. And yeah, I think I saw two sides to that Celtic team. I saw a team that was fluid, entertaining, a threat for all over the park. And then I seen a team in the second half that had to roll their sleeves up, they had to scrap, they had to be together, and eventually they had to get over the line. And yeah, just let's regroup. We didn't get any injuries last night, which is a bonus these days. And let's get a good victory on Saturday. I'd like to see us go and win that game in a wee bit of style, if possible, just to keep confidence really high into the derby next week. And look, we're due one with it. It's about time. I've had a wee bit of a winning run over us, and we're certainly due getting them one back. So looking forward to the games ahead. We've said it, the optimism and the excitement for the next game, and I just can't wait for the game Saturday.
Aye, mate, I think I'm agreeing with you, but as we say, JP, before the Hearts game, Saturday might be a game where we give somebody a doing. We're due to give somebody a doing. We're missing so many chances, and one of these days, their chances will go in. There's always one or two games a season where you win 5, 6, 7. That always happens. I think Saturday, hopefully, is the game where we can put all these chances to bed, because even at Celtic Park against Livingston and when we drew and whatever, we create so many chances, man. Sometimes we create, I would say, too much, because you're creating chances and like some are just nowhere near the goal. And it's getting to a stage where we need to finish these, because the game yesterday, that could come back to haunt us because we missed so many chances, and then the last 10 minutes you're thinking, right, if we're going to see this out now. But I think obviously going to Saturday, JP, and then going forward, what's your kind of prognosis?
I quite think like that, mate. Just the fact that I want to see us go and win the game in style. It maybe help, I know, if we could do it with a good scoreline, put a wee marker down, and a sort of mentality shift maybe going into the game next Wednesday night, because they're coming there as well. So it's a case of, like, this is what we're bringing. And I think what's key as well is there's not going to be any real fans at Celtic Park next Wednesday night. So it's going to be a cauldron. And it's going to feel like a Champions League night in there next Wednesday. There's going to be a lot of noise. There's going to be... And they have got serial bottlers in their team. Some of these guys can only play in empty stadiums. We saw this season. Boys like Tavernier and Goldson, I mean, bang average footballers at best. They've got serial bottlers. When the pressure's on them, they can't do it. Look at Malmo. And that was with a full house. So for me, there's been games this season they've got away and they've got out of jail. They're not going to get away with that on Wednesday night. It's not happening. Because the Celtic team they played and beat in October is a different Celtic team now. In fact, it's night and day in terms of team selections and everything else. Because you still had Edouard and Christie and all that was all part of that team. They're not there now. And there's a new team gelled. And you've got to remember as well, we've won that first trophy this season. The first trophy up for grabs. So they'll be looking at that and all going, right, hold on a minute, that's not bad, you know. And as I say, you get an early goal. Give them time for him, because I can see him crumbling in there. But the United, mate, I want to see he's going out and blood on them. We've done it at Tannadice. There's no reason why we can't do it at Celtic Park. and I'd like to see us just go out and destroy them 5-6-0. There's no reason why we can't do it, because we look, like I says, mate, we look as if it's just fit to the flare, full throttle, and let's go. This is a business end of the season now, right? And this is where all your big players all come to the fore, mate. This is when you see what quality you've got in your squad and how good they really are. When questions are asked of them, this is, and I'm a great believer in that, mate. When it gets to the business side of the season, that's when all your big players should rise to the occasion, mate.
No, I agree, mate. There's obviously a lot of talk before the game against Hearts, and basically, if we don't pick up 9 points for these 3 games and the least finish and whatever else, and we all know that, it would be a detriment, but the least no finish because you don't win a game or two. So we all know if you win on Saturday, it's a massive few days. Obviously, we all know we live here. If we were going on Saturday, then it's going to be hyped up, and for Wednesday the media's going to be bang on everything. It's going to be a mental few days online, and again we're all looking forward to the game. It's first derby game back in the stadium, Celtic Park, for obviously COVID. So I think it might be an emotional game as well. But obviously we'll speak about leading up to the game. But I think it will be emotional because it's the first game back, again full crowd. So I'm all looking forward to myself, but obviously when they get the 3 points on Saturday first, because if you don't get 3 points on Saturday, then the Rangers game, no matter what result, it means nothing. Well, it doesn't mean nothing, but you've got to win both games, because you can't go and beat United and don't beat Rangers, or either way. So
Vice versa.
So I think going forward, it's all positive again. There's still a few days left of the window. Ange could be a surprise, or could be a surprise leaving, or could be a surprise coming in. And obviously as well, we're doing a live podcast on Monday, deadline day special. We'll talk about obviously more on social media and obviously leading up to Monday. But
you got your yellow tie look to it, Jim?
I've got a yellow tie, my tinnies, mate, my dye white hair. I'm trying to get Jim White, but Jim White doesn't like Celtic, so he said maybe next time or something. So I tried him, mate, but he wants a few grand. I can't afford that yet, mate. So, but again, Barry, thanks for your time, mate. I appreciate your time, mate. It's been a lot of good points to talk about. Again, JP, thanks for your time, mate. Hail, and take care, lads.
Hail. Cheers, lads.
All the best, lads. Thanks.